I remember watching the Matthew Broderick movie War Games on cable when I was a kid. I wasn't old enough to see it in the theater, but it was captivating to me. The fact that he could just basically talk to his computer, type out what he wanted to his computer and it would respond back like another human. Now, obviously, we live in the future and this is totally possible. But that command line, the interface that Matthew Broderick was using in that movie, well, that's actually the key to unlocking superpowers when it comes to AI. Now, I think most people out there have at least tried a chat interface for AI at this point. ChatGPT, Claude, one of the other competitors, and you know how useful it can be and what it can and can't do at this point. What it can't do is getting smaller by the day. However, if you install Claude Code on your computer, you're going to unlock powers that just an interface can't do inside of a chat window. It can actually gain access to your computer files, create new ones, work on your projects, and as the name implies, code on your behalf. Now, I know a lot of people have heard of Claude Code and just honestly are overwhelmed by this whole AI thing, and they're hoping it just dies down. But bad news, it is not. In fact, you're falling further and further behind if you have not used Claude Code to this point. People have already moved on to OpenClaw, which is going to be the topic of another video on this channel very soon. I've been running my own OpenClaw instance for several weeks at this point, back when it was called 3 other things, and I do plan to talk about OpenClaw and how it is and isn't useful for my own personal workflow. But before we get there, I think having a solid understanding of Claude Code is essential. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get up and running with Claude Code, some basic commands and some plugins, extensions, MCPs, whatever you want to call them, skills, extra things we can add to Claude Code that makes it so much more powerful. And all you're going to need is a basic $20 per month plan from Anthropic. I'm making this video specifically for those people out there that are not developers, that are curious about this stuff and just don't really know where to get started. So I'm going to go slow, I'm going to go simple, and expect you have no experience with the command line whatsoever. Now, I'm going to get you all through this right after a word from today's sponsor. Why try to vibe code a CRM when the perfect one already exists for agencies and small businesses? This video is sponsored by Bigin from Zoho CRM. If you're running a small business, there comes a point where spreadsheets and sticky notes just don't cut it anymore. You've got customer information scattered across Gmail, Slack reminders, and maybe even a Google Sheet that 3 people are all editing at the same time. It's a mess. Bigin is a CRM built specifically for small businesses and agencies. What makes it different is that you can actually set it up in 30 minutes. There's no complex onboarding, no enterprise bloat, just the features you actually need. You get pipeline management, communication across WhatsApp, email, phone calls, everything in one dashboard. There are built-in templates for 31 different industries and teams, so you're not starting from scratch. They've also rolled out new integrations, including QuickBooks and Shopify, so your accounting and online store data gets synced right into your CRM. Plus, they have AI features coming in the pipeline that will undertake repetitive activities and provide deeper insights into your operations. The pricing makes sense too. There's even a free forever plan if you're just wanting to try it out. When you're ready to scale up, paid plans start at just $7 per month per user. That's less than most teams spend per month on coffee. Well, quite a bit less if you are on my team. Check out the link in the description to try out Bigin for yourself. My thanks to Zoho for sponsoring today's video. All right, let's get up and running with Claude Code. Getting this installed is super easy. Now, my one expectation here is that you already have a paid Claude plan. If you don't, just go to claude.com and hit the button that says try Claude. This is not a sponsored video. I am a super fan of Anthropic. I've been using Claude for several years now, and I definitely have the highest paid plan because I use it all the time. It's my favorite LLM out there by far. Now, once you get your paid plan up and running, which by the way, you can use on your desktop with a normal chat interface, there's a phone app, it'll be just like a replacement for your ChatGPT experience, but now you have access to Claude Code. And I should be clear about this. Here is my desktop for Claude. And you can see at the top, we actually have 3 different toggles. There's chat, the normal interface you're used to. There's Cowork, which is their latest solution. And this is really great as well. Probably deserves a dedicated video. video. But what we're going to focus on today is Claude Code. They recently released this web version of it, and that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. It's still very good, but we really want to get the power out of the command line. If you're not familiar with the command line yet, just be patient with yourself. It's really not too hard to wrap your head around, especially with Claude on your side, because it's basically like having an expert looking over your shoulder, telling you, or even in some cases, typing for you so that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, so back over to the Claude Code docs. I will link to this page in the description. All we need is the correct command. So if you're on Mac, Linux, or WSL, I don't know what that is. If you're on one of those platforms, copy this command right here. If you're on Windows or Windows Command, you can copy the appropriate command right there. So I'm on Mac. I'm gonna grab this one. And then I'm going to open up the terminal. Now this will be the same on Windows as well as Mac. You're just going to go to the search function. So on Windows, it's going to be the search bar or the Windows bar, whatever. On Mac, I'm going to press Command Space. That brings up Spotlight. And I'm going to type in terminal. It's going to show up right away. And I hit enter. And here we go. We've got a nice terminal window. Let me make this a little bigger so that we can all see it on the screen. Now, it doesn't matter which directory you're in at this point, or even if you know what the heck is going on, all you have to do is paste in that command we copied from the website. Then hit return, and it's gonna go ahead and install the latest version of Claude Code into your computer. All right, as you can see here, the installation is complete on my end. Let's go ahead and get started with some of the basics. First things first, how do we actually use Claude Code, and what can it really do for us? Well, you just have to navigate to a folder and then type in the word Claude. Navigating to a folder could be a little confusing if you've never used the terminal before. We're used to graphical user interfaces. You may have used a terminal a long time ago if you're old like I am, but chances are you just grew up using platforms that already had windows and file systems and pretty pictures. So if you're navigating around a computer with a command line for the first time, this alone can feel really frustrating. So here's a few commands to get you started in the command line. First of all, if you want to see what's in a folder, type ls. That's going to list out all of the files and folders that are available to you. What I recommend doing is any coding projects you're going to create, just do that right inside of a project folder. So you can see I've already got one right here, but if you want to add a folder to your computer, you could just go into your regular Finder or Windows Explorer and set up the directory there. It's totally a fine way to do it. But if you're dedicated to learning the command line, well, I commend you. There is a way to create a folder. Just type mkdir and then create your folder. I'll just create a temp folder here. Now, if I show the list of folders again, you can see I've got one right here. Now, if I wanted to get into that folder, I'll type cd, let's change directory, and then temp, and now I'm inside of that folder. Here, I'm going to turn on Claude. So I'll just go Claude, that's it, nothing else, and Claude Code is going to launch. Now, just like using any application, actually, it just feels a little nostalgic here because we've got like the ASCII art and everything. But like any other application, it's going to ask us some preferences right out of the gates. We can do dark mode, light mode. They've got a few other options here. I'm going to go with dark mode. I do think that looks pretty great for Claude Code. And then we need to log in. There's a few different ways to do this. You can use your Claude account, which is what I use and what I recommend. I think it's the most affordable way, especially if you're just getting started. But you could also use API-based billing. That's a topic for another video. Basically, you have to sign up as a developer with Claude or Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, and then provide your API key here. Then as you're using your computer, it's just gonna ding your API. It's gonna use that key to access the Anthropic computers, and it will bill you accordingly on a usage-based system. I do love the Claude account though, because we get all three applications. You get the chat interface, you get access on your phone. There's really a lot of value here. And if you set up an open Claude down the road, if you know what that is and you're excited about it, you can still use your Claude account with that. You don't have to use an API key. That's what I'm doing currently with my Max account. But if you've got Pro, that's a great way to get into this low cost, 20 bucks. Let's go ahead and get logged in. I'm just gonna press 1 on my keyboard. It's gonna pop open my browser window and just ask me to log into Claude the regular old way. If you get one of these little pop-ups asking for access, just go ahead and grant access so that the terminal can get whatever it needs from your browser window in terms of authentication. After you have authenticated, go ahead and authorize the permission for Claude Code to use your Claude account. It's gonna stay on your browser window here, but just go back over to Claude Code and we can begin using it now. So that's in your terminal. I'm gonna minimize my browser here in the background, and you can see it says login successful. Press enter to continue. We get the normal AI disclosures here. Claude can make mistakes. Now, there is slightly more risk with using Claude Code over something in a browser because now it has access to your actual files. This is a lot safer than using something like OpenClaw because Claude is very sandbox. Claude Code is very sandbox. You're going to give it access to one particular folder, and if it needs access to other folders, it will ask permission first. That is, of course, unless you grant it free reign over your entire system, which they call dangerous mode. And there is a reason to do that. And I will actually show you how to access it later in the video. But otherwise, you can just kind of proceed through this, hitting enter. You can use the arrow keys to go up and down, kind of normal computer use stuff that has almost fallen out of convention when you just are so used to using a mouse to click around. But yeah, your keyboard's going to be your main guide throughout Claude Code here. In fact, if you're typing something, you can't even use the cursor to like click and correct, which can be kind of frustrating for newer users to the command line, but you get used to that quickly. Now, this is what I was talking about a moment ago. Anytime you launch Claude Code in a new folder, it's going to ask if you trust that folder, if you want to grant Claude Code access to read, edit, and execute files inside of that folder. Since I just made this and there's no files in it at all, I'm totally good to go, right? So now I'm inside of Claude Code. You can see it looks very much like the command line, but a little bit different, a little bit better, a little improved, basically taking the minimal command line interface and just making it 2% better, right? So at this point, I could begin chatting with Claude Code just like I would use Claude Chat. There's some reasons you might want to do this, but let's just go ahead and try it out to show that this is essentially the same Claude that you've probably used before, or if you've not used it, it's like ChatGPT. So why is Network Chuck so good at the command line? And here we go. We've got our chat response back. He's got a professional background, a Linux focus. He likes teaching. He's got teaching as a practice, and he's got a home lab culture. He runs his own home lab self-hosted servers. So very much like the normal experience you're used to, although it's just in an uglier interface. And if you want to copy and paste stuff, you actually have to select it yourself. There's no friendly share buttons or copy buttons or anything like that. Now off camera, I just threw a ton of files into my temporary folder here. There's just like images, some documents, some screenshots, lots of different file formats, I think is the main thing. Now I'm just gonna have Claude perform a task inside of this folder. So those files I just showed you, I just moved in the conventional way, and now I'm inside of the temp folder, and I can just ask Claude to organize this folder. And I'm not gonna be any more specific than that. I'm just gonna say organize this folder. All right, so it's checking to see what's in the folder, looking for patterns, looking at the files. It's going to come up with a way to do this, and I don't really have to think about it. So if you're looking at that documents folder that you've kind of just throw everything into, or maybe your downloads folder, you're not really sure what you still need, well, probably a good application of Claude to get started and get familiar with it is just to start organizing stuff. It did come up with some ideas here. It's going to create a screenshot folder, a logos folder, and a documents folder. I think that is great. I'm just going to say yes. And you notice here it's kind of got an answer already set for me. If I agree with this, I can just press the tab key and that's going to autocomplete for me. I could say anything I like here. I could say no. I could give my feedback, also add in XYZ folder, make subfolders for the PNGs and the SVGs, whatever I want to do. I could do that. But for now, I'm just going to say yes, and it's going to go ahead and organize those folders or organize those files for me. Now, one thing that can be kind of frustrating about Claude in the beginning is that when it starts doing work, it's going to ask for a bunch of permissions. It's always telling you exactly what it's going to do. In this case, I'm going to give it permission. I've got two options. I could say yes, or I could say yes and always allow access to temp /, so any subfolders inside of temp. I'm going to do that so I don't keep getting prompted for this. Now, there is a way around having it not prompt you, and you don't want to do this all the time. I will show you what that is. I already mentioned it before. It's called dangerous mode, or I'm not sure. It's basically the way you launch Claude. I'll show you what to do so it doesn't constantly ask you for permissions. But in general, the permissions are a good thing. We want the permissions to be requested. Although they can be frustrating because it'll be working for a long time and then it'll ask you for something and you're not looking, and then you end up wasting 10 minutes when you thought it was coding away and it's actually just waiting for permission to do something. All right, everything's done here. It just took a second. You can see we are in the temp folder. We've got documents, logos, and screenshots. And let's just check that out. What did it actually do inside of my Finder? All right, so here is my username and my temp folder. Let's go into that. You can see now I've got the 3 subfolders. I can go into logos. I've got all of the logo stuff there. I can go into screenshots. It was smart enough to know that the clean shot files were screenshots and it moved them into a subfolder for me. Everything's nice and organized, super simple. This is not that complex. When you think about Claude Code and you feel instantly overwhelmed, trust me, you can do this. Now, we can do much more complex things too. Before we get too deep, let's get a few more of the fundamentals under our belt. If we need to configure Claude, because there are some options you might want to configure, we're going to do that in the form of slash commands, just like you do in Notion or countless other copycat applications. If you press slash, you're going to see a list of commands that you can apply. One of those is going to be to switch models. So I could type in model for model, and then it's going to allow me to choose the model in Claude Code. If you noticed when I first logged in, I am using Opus 4.6. That is the smartest, most intelligent model that Claude or Anthropic currently offers, but it is also going to be the most costly. So if you're on the $20 a month plan, you will eat up your credits very, very quickly, probably within 3 to 4 prompts, depending on what you ask it to do. So you might want to switch to a simpler model, especially if you're doing simple things like organizing files. You certainly don't need Opus for that. So type slash model, you'll see a list of the available models. It does recommend Opus for most coding tasks, but we could go down to Sonnet or even Haiku if we're doing something like organizing our files. But we're gonna do more than that, so I'm gonna stay on Opus for now. All right, let's just try a coding task and we'll see how it does. I'm gonna have it make a homepage for a modern SaaS company. Now, as I was typing this out, I thought to mention you can actually use dictation in order to complete your prompts. And honestly, that's what I do 90% of the time. If it's comfortable for me to talk to my computer, sometimes it's a little awkward too, honestly, but if it's comfortable for me to talk to my computer, well, I'll generally do that. And I use Mac Whisper for my dictation. I've got a dedicated video on how I set that up. I actually assign it to the function key on my keyboard, so I could literally just press this at any point and start talking. It's going to fill in whatever I say. So there it got end, you start talking, but I could say anything that I like, and then Mac Whisper is going to prompt it exactly as I spoke. In fact, I even use an AI cleanup feature to make sure that there's no mistakes, or if I ramble, it'll kind of clean that up for me. Now, I've got a mess of a prompt here, and you might find yourself in this situation where you just start typing something and you're like, I don't really want to prompt this right now. I want to start over. And you could be frustrated because if you use the mouse to click to the beginning of the text line here, it doesn't do anything. It just keeps blinking over there and says, this is where your cursor is, and you have to use the arrow keys to go all the way back. Now in this scenario, it's not that big of a deal because, well, I don't have that much, but if it was like 3 or 4 lines, it could really take some time. What we can do is, well, you can use the up and down arrow keys to go through different prompts. So I can toggle up and I'll see previous prompts. But at any point, if I had a very long prompt here, all right, so here's a really, really long prompt, right? And if I wanted to delete this, it would take a long time. I could move my cursor around to go to different places if I want to make small changes, but if I wanted to delete it all, it could be a little bit frustrating. So what you can actually do is press the up key. That's going to take you right to the start of the prompt. If you're at the bottom, you have to press it a few times, but now we're at the start of the prompt, and then you press Control K, and that's going to kill each line individually. So Control K 3 times, now I can start again. All right. Side tangent there, but these are the little things that I think could be frustrating for command line newbies. And once you get used to that, it makes this so much more enjoyable. Just a few little keyboard shortcuts to remember. All right, let me try again with that prompt to build out a homepage for a business SaaS. I want you to build out a modern looking business SaaS homepage. You can use placeholder text and placeholder images, but make sure that it looks really, really nice and glossy and fancy. Like I could sell it for $1,000. $1,000 really isn't that much for a website. I don't know why I said that. Okay, so this is just obviously like a crazy prompt. I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter here, and it's gonna go ahead and start creating the homepage for me. Anthropic does have like a little bit of personality, which I appreciate when it comes to AI, because things can obviously feel cold some of the times. So they'll have cute little clever words here when you enter in different prompts. Like here it says stewing, and then it also gives you a tip for using the application. So the more you use Claude Code, the more you'll become aware of all of the features that are available to you. Now, notice it's been going for about 40 seconds at this point. It's also going to tell you how many tokens it's used. Now, Now, as a subscriber, you don't have like a specific number of tokens that you can visibly see that you have. But if you log into the desktop application, you can actually see how much percentage you have left. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm inside of Claude Desktop right now, which is just an app you can download onto your Mac or your Windows machine. And if you go to the gear icon in the lower left-hand corner and go to settings, there is a usage tab where you can see how much you've actually used Claude. Now, my usage just reset yesterday, so I'm only 8% of my weekly limits here. And remember, I'm on the highest plan that they have, but I can see exactly when I'm gonna start to run out. So my current session, I've got 3 hours left. I've only used 3%. So I've got a lot of tokens that I can burn. Now that will contribute to my overall weekly usage, which in my experience, I generally get up into the high 80s, high 90s, sometimes completely maxing it out inside of a week. So if you're using this really, really hardcore, even on the $200 a month plan, you can still use up all of your credits. I think it's a great value because if you switch over to the API, you're gonna burn through many more hundreds of dollars than the $200 a month plan. But this is an intro video. So just start with the 20 bucks, figure out if you're gonna use it, figure out some projects you could build and go from there. Now, as I've been yammering away, you can see it's still working here. It's 2 minutes and 56 seconds into the build, and it just asked me for permissions here, which is kind of, I mentioned that it does that sometimes. So it's building for about 3 minutes, and now it's gonna launch the website. So this is what it built for us. But I do wanna say we can make this even better. As great as this looks, we can make this better by using a skill, and that's what we're gonna talk about next. But first, come on. This looks fantastic. This is great. I've got testimonials. I've got pricing tables. This is all running on my machine locally. It's not, I could upload this to a server and make it a real website. And if I didn't know how to do that, I could ask Claude. Let's see if I press watch video. It doesn't do anything there. I thought maybe it would pull up a placeholder, but all of the graphics, everything, Claude made these. It looks amazing. We've even got single page navigation here. Yeah, we do. We can go click on the pricing, the features, and it's zooming us around. Very impressive stuff. Even nice hover animations on the cards. Gives us a nice little summary here, by the way, of exactly what it built. And I could iterate upon this, right? I can continue to prompt it and ask for changes. Now, this is a very basic way to use Claude. You could definitely get more detailed, and I'm gonna try to get you there in the next few minutes. The first thing I would recommend is anytime you're doing something that is front-end based, to install a skill known as the front-end design skill. How in the world do you do that? Don't be overwhelmed. Just ask Claude to do it for you. I want you to install the front-end design skill. Yeah, it's literally that easy. So now it's propagating, thinking it's going to go ahead and find that skill, install it, and it will be available. So skills are essentially, they sound complex, but they're really just markdown files that live. Markdown is like plain text. If you're not familiar with Markdown, you probably should get acquainted with it because it is the standard for AI. But it's basically like a text file with some, funny markings on it. That's the Markdown part. And it's going to teach Claude a process. It can think of it like an SOP for your business. It's what Claude should do every time it does a particular task. Oh, I just got a message here from Claude. It can't find the front-end design skill, so no problem. I can find it for it, and probably I could just ask it to search for it. In fact, that's what I'll do. I do know they have a GitHub repo, so I'll just say, there is a GitHub repo. Go ahead and search for it. Look up Claude front-end design skill. And it's gonna go ahead and hopefully find it second time around. But that's a good demonstration that, if it doesn't get something, just tell it in plain English what you do know, and then it'll go out and take care of things for you generally. But let's see how it does. An important point here is that Claude can search the web, although I'm gonna show you another way that Claude can search the web that is even more powerful in a moment. All right, so it did find the skill. It's an official Anthropic skill. It's a plugin, so there's basically 3 different ways that we can enhance Claude. There's skills, which are markdown files. There are also MCPs, which are model context protocols. These are essentially like ways for LLMs to talk to other services like APIs. It's a gateway between the two. And then there's also plugins, which you're probably acquainted with the idea of plugins. So perhaps the front-end design skill, you can see it's downloading the markdown file right here, has morphed into a plugin since I first installed it. It's asking for some permission here. I'm gonna go ahead and grant it. I tend to choose the second option so I don't get prompted as many times. Usually the second option is to say yes for this and all future requests that are similar. All right, the installation is just finishing up right now. I did want to show you that the index.html file that I had Claude create is there. It's inside of my temp folder. It didn't actually generate any real images. It just used SVGs for everything we saw on the screen. So that's right inside of the file. Now we're going to go ahead and use our newly installed skill to have a little bit of refinement. We're going to say, look at this website and see how you can improve it using the front-end design skill. All right, so Claude stopped working for a second here. You can see it did take almost 2.5 minutes. It gave me some directions though. So always stop to read what it actually says. That's a mistake I see often as well, where people are just so quick to move on to the next thing. It's weird with AI. You think, oh, this is going to make me so productive and I'll be able to work so quickly, that you tend to just feel rushed all the time. So definitely take a second, just kind of slow down, know that you're already getting more done in a matter of minutes than you probably could do in hours, and just really see what's on the screen here. So it does tell me I need to run 2 commands to get this installed. I didn't have to do that when I installed this skill many months ago. So they have changed the system a little bit here, which makes sense. It's AI, it's evolving so quickly. I'm just going to paste in the first command. It's going to go ahead and add the marketplace for Claude Code. And then while that's running, I'm going to copy this command, which is going to actually install that front-end design skill. All right, I ran the second command. It is now installing the skill. Claude Code is very cautious about permissions. So of course, it's going to ask me how I should give access to this skill. Is it just going to be for me? Is it going to be for collaborators on a repository? I'm just going to go ahead and say for me right now. And this is an arrow key type of situation. You can't press 1, 2, or 3. I'll hit the one I want and press return. Now the plugin should be installed. I do have to restart Claude Code to load new plugins. So to restart Claude Code, you can just type exit and then instantiate it again by typing Claude. Now I want to redesign our existing homepage and use that front-end design skill to do so. So I'm going to press my dictation key and give it a prompt. I want you to look at the index.html file in this folder and use your front-end design skill to optimize this page for conversions. I really want to get a lot of signups to this SaaS product, so do your best to make sure that it is as attractive for consumers as possible. Feel free to change the copy if necessary to entice more buying. All right, there's my prompt. I'm gonna go ahead and press return here to render it, and Claude's gonna start thinking, probably ask me for some permissions, and then I should have an optimized sales page. These are all very generic prompts, of course. If this was for a real business, I would give it even more context, as much information as you can provide it. If you've got specific promotions you want it to run, you can really just load it up. In fact, you could even have markdown files of your own and say, read these markdown files, essentially creating your own skills to understand a campaign or some copy that you want on the website that you're building. Or it could be an application. It doesn't have to be a web page. All right, we can see that it's actually using that front-end design skill. It's successfully loaded, and now it's going to build a conversion optimized version with premium aesthetics, urgency mechanics, yada, yada, sign-up forms, all of that good stuff. So while it's doing that, we'll just take one more scroll through this original site. So we have a good foundation of where we came from, a very attractive page. Like, I think if you built this for one of your clients, they'd probably be like, yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, it's kind of plain, right? There's no pictures of humans or anything. It definitely feels like a software website, which is what we told it to build. But let's see how much better it is with that front-end design skill. All right, I think we are about done here. It's asking me for permission to overwrite the file. I'm gonna say yes. It's probably gonna pop open the new page here in a second. Now, notice it's been working for 5 minutes and nearly 30 seconds at this point. So we're gonna probably have quite a different page here in a moment. By the way, of course, this isn't necessarily the best way to do this. There's even a more thorough way that you could use Claude Code, but we're going incrementally in this. So our page is done here. We've got the results back. It shows all of the different improvements it's made, but let the eyes be the judge, and I will open up this page. So here's the previous one. I'll refresh it. It's gonna be the same URL. All right, it definitely used a different font there. I don't love this font. So in some ways, The overall typography needs a little bit of improvement, but we can see that everything else does, I think, generally look a little better if we didn't have this quite ugly font. It's kind of like, yeah, it almost looks like it's squished in some way. But overall, it did redesign the page pretty substantially. We've still got the on-page navigation. We've got a nice little toggle here under the pricing. You notice that? That's cool. Poor font choice. So it's not going to be perfect. A nice little toggles for our FAQ here. There's some scarcity here at the bottom, 152 slots left. I can claim my free spot by clicking on the button. It takes me here to fill out my form, which I can, just type in anything here. It's probably not going to go anywhere. There's also some social proof stuff in the corner here that shows up, so that is pretty cool. And as I sign up, it says check your email. Let's see if it actually goes down. Yeah, it kind of changes here. So as it's mimicking people signing up, and as you reload. So there's some work to do, but this would be an amazingly fast way to generate a sales page. So I could go through and show you exactly how I'd refine that sales page to make it work, to be fully functional and not just a demo, and how I would get rid of that font. I mean, basically you just say, hey, go back to enter. That's what you used before. And that would be done rather quickly. But we've got a lot more to cover here. We're just trying to get the foundations of Claude. So let's move on to the next thing that we should talk about, which is plan mode. So down here at the bottom, it says accept edits on, and then it says shift tab to cycle. So if I press shift and then press tab on my keyboard, I'm holding down shift and pressing tab, it's going to cycle through some different options. One of them being plan mode. Plan mode is incredibly important. I start almost every prompt in plan mode because it lets me spew out some ideas like, hey, build me a high converting sales page. And then it will use plan mode to actually lay out a plan how you would do that. So think about it this way. If you just said, I'm going to make a sales page, and you sat down at your computer and started writing the HTML code or using whatever graphical builder you like to use to build websites, it might turn out okay, but chances are if you were to sit first and think, well, I'm going to need a testimonial section, I'm going to need a hero section, I'm going to need a pricing table, and here are the things that should probably go in them, and you don't start building anything yet, but you just start to outline what is going to be on your page or on your application, you're going to do a lot better starting from a plan. So that's what plan mode does for LLMs. It sets out a plan and then it actually proceeds to follow through that. Let's switch gears from the websites, and this time I'm going to build a real application or a web app. I'm going to build a simple to-do list. Now I'm in plan mode here. That's very important. I'm going to go ahead and give it some commands. I want to build a to-do list similar to Things on the Mac, except I want it to be a web app. I want it to have more of a getting things done type of interface, just like Things has. And I want it to be beautiful, easy, and delightful to use, but highly functional. I would also like to have collaboration, so I need a user system and a way to share tasks with other people. Please create a plan for how this could be accomplished. Think in phases and create the plan. Have me review it before you build anything. Okay, so here's my prompt just off the top of my head. I'm gonna go ahead and press return here. Now, Claude is gonna start churning. This is gonna probably take a few minutes again. And before you know it, I'm gonna have a full plan to actually build out this application. Now, if you are technical and you know exactly what you want the tech stack to be, I want it to be a React app and I wanna use SQLite on the back end, you know everything that you want, well, you can tell it that and it will use those applications. If you are more of a novice and you don't really know what you're doing, well, welcome to vibe coding. That's exactly what you're doing right now. You've probably heard people talk about it, but you don't need to know how to code. You can just explain what you want to be on the screen. It will create it for you. It will make all of those tech decisions on your behalf. If you're somewhere in the middle, you know a little bit about tech, but you don't know all of the latest languages and what you should actually use for this application, you can have that conversation as part of your prompt as well. Let's talk about the infrastructure for this. What do you think the back end should be? What do you think the front end should be? Give me some options, some pros and cons. And before we even start building the application, we can talk about that tech stack and really get it dialed in. In this instance, I didn't mention it, so I'm giving Claude basically carte blanche to do whatever it thinks is best. Now, while this is churning away, that doesn't mean I have to sit and stare at it. Of course, I could do something else on my computer, but I could also use Claude somewhere else. I could just open up another terminal window. I can press Command N and get a brand new terminal window opened. I was about to do something else, but Claude is asking me some questions. It starts to do these interviews where it's going to make these tech decisions I was just talking about a moment ago, like, hey, what should we use here? Next.js and React? That's what I recommend, but we could also use SvelteKit or even just single HTML vanilla JS. Well, I'm going to go ahead and choose Next.js and React because that's what it recommends, and I just want it to do what's easiest right now. Now it's asking about backend. Do I want to use Supabase, Firebase, custom node.js? I can use anything I want here. So I'll just go ahead and choose their recommendations because we're not really building this out. And now finally, what's the scope here? Do you want a full MVP, a functional prototype, or a complete production app? Again, I'm going to stick with their recommendations, but you could even build a complete production app. And chances are it's going to get like 90% of the way there. You'll probably have some revision rounds. I'm not saying this is going to be one-shotting everything, but if you're patient and you have a weekend, you could honestly build out a full SaaS with almost no technical knowledge. I don't know that I would go to market with it quite yet. You may want to hire some type of security supervisor to go ahead and review everything, but man, we are a lot closer to this type of SaaS building than we have ever been in the past, like much closer. All right, I chose full MVP. You can see my answers there. I'm reviewing my little interview questions before I submit them. And now Claude is going to start churning and doing the real work. Well, that's happening. Let's talk about some other things we can add into Claude to make it even more powerful. There's going to be some missing context occasionally when it's doing coding because things change in the coding world. So we can actually install a skill that is up to date with most of the major languages, infrastructures, platforms. It's called Context 7. Here is Context 7, by the way. It says up-to-date docs for LLMs and AI code editors. I can search this myself, but really I don't want to deal with it, so I can install it with Claude Code. There is an install button up here and it takes you over to their GitHub repo, which has an install Claude Code local server connection command. I could just paste this in and be good to go. Of course, you could always just tell Claude to figure it out, and chances are it will be able to do that as well. So while Claude is churning over here, I can still install other things into it. I do need an API key in order for this to work, so let's go ahead and grab one of those. Don't worry, there is a free plan. If you're not collaborating with others, the free plan is going to be enough. Go ahead and get signed up. It'll be very simple, copy and paste type scenario. So once you go through the Context 7 login flow, just click on your dashboard up here, create an API key, give it a name like Claude Code, and then the API key will pop up in a window. You can copy and paste it into Claude. So I'm back over here. I'm just gonna paste in my API key and hit return. And now I'm clearing out the screen because I don't want you to see the API key, but that's all installed, good to go. While that was happening, you can see the actual plan that is being executed over on the other screen from Claude. It created a 7-phase design plan to go ahead and actually build out my getting things done, things style app here. I'm just letting it work in the background. It's been going for about 7 minutes at this point. And just to summarize, if it wasn't clear what we just did there, we gave our LLM, Claude, access to all of the latest documentation for the major languages that it could be coding in. So you can see some of the more popular languages here, or even OpenClaw, which I've mentioned several times in this video. You can get the docs for that. But it could be a CMS as well. Like if you use WordPress and you want to develop for WordPress, guess what? There's documentation there. This is super helpful and will make the LLM even more accurate because often the training data was established a year ago and things change, right? So we've got up-to-date docs here. We don't have to worry about keeping up to date ourselves. It's all centralized. All right, I'm gonna keep churning here. Claude is still working in the background. It's been going for about 10 minutes at this point. I wanna show you an additional skill that you're probably going to want to install. It's called Playwright. In fact, this isn't even a skill. This is an MCP, a model context protocol. So I'm gonna instantiate Claude here by just typing in Claude, and then I'll just say, I want to install the Playwright MCP. Playwright will allow Claude to browse the web. I mentioned earlier that Claude can browse the web on its own, but honestly, it's not that great. Sometimes web pages are too dynamic, they're too complex, and Claude just can't really understand what's going on. With Playwright, it's going to allow us to actually get the real rendered output of the website so that Claude can fully understand it. And often the Claude servers are banned from certain websites that don't want access to them, and Playwright gets around this. Okay, it came back and it found a few options for me. I can install a headed version, which shows me a visible browser, or what I prefer is the headless version. So I'm gonna say headless, please, and it's gonna go ahead and get that one installed. Basically, with the headless version, it's gonna be able to browse in the background without interfering. If I have the headed version, I can see what it's doing. So it's up to you, whichever you prefer. As scary as that might sound, you're probably used to using chat interfaces where it's searching the web in the background and you can't actually see what it's looking at anyways. So the headless version is more like that. But we have success here. The Playwright MCP server has been added in headless mode. I'm going to check in that on a moment, but I can see I've got some questions to attend to over inside of my things project. All right, my plan has been created. The actual app has not been created yet. Remember, I asked Claude to review the plan with me. It gives me a summary here of the 7 different phases, but if I really want to look at the plan, there is an actual MD file, a markdown file that's been created. Claude is smart enough to know that I probably want to proceed with the plan, and it just has the default answer if here, yeah, go ahead and build it, and I could stay out of the way. But it would ask me for permission, and with such a long project like this, I'd have to be there in front of the computer for it to actually finish building. So there is a workaround for this. I'm going to finish up with Playwright, and then we'll end the video by showing you how to do long-form Claude projects without having to sit around and press buttons over and over again. Welcome to the future, folks, where pressing enter is too much effort. Okay, let's finish up with our Playwright MCP server, because this is a very important feature in Claude. Now, there are some websites that Claude just cannot access. You've probably run into that using the desktop version or even competitors, because they're all kind of blocked by the same sites. For example, if I wanted to have a summary of a particular X post summarized by an LLM, I'm probably going to run into an issue. Like there's this post here. It's got 53 million views. It's been going absolutely crazy since I first saw it last night. And I knew it was going to be huge because it was like 10 times in a row on my timeline on X. 53 million views. It's about essentially the end of jobs as AI replaces everything. So I want to get an AI summary of this. I want to be able to use it for other purposes. Whatever the reason is, there's going to be a lot of applications for scraping the web. We want a really reliable way to do this. Now, in order to use the Playwright server, I actually have to restart Claude. So I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to say, go ahead and summarize this article for me. Do not try to use the Playwright MCP server. Just use your built-in browser. All right, so I told it explicitly not to use the MCP server. I gave it the URL. It's gonna go out and it's gonna try to look at this, but it's gonna fail because it's on X, and I just know that X tends to not allow other bots to go ahead. You need to either pay for their API, or I think Grok can do it, but other services doesn't work. We get a 200 error. Unfortunately, X blocks automated fetching. And you'll run into this not just on X, but a ton of websites and even others that just don't render automatically because they're more dynamic. You're going to have this error. Notice it even says use the Playwright MCP. So it's aware that that is an option. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Claude, and then we'll enter in again. All right, now let's test out the Playwright MCP by entering Claude one more time. I will just tell it to give me a summary of this article using the Playwright MCP. Paste in the URL again and press return. Now, one thing here while it's thinking, you do have to have Node installed. So if you don't have that installed and you don't know what it is, it'll pop up a message saying like, hey, you need Node to run this, and would you like me to install it? Very simple. Just don't be rattled if it says that. It's completely expected. So I'm just go ahead and say yes here. It has permission to use it. It's going to navigate to that URL, and we should get a nice little summary here. Well, got to give it permission. We'll do that. One more granting of permission. There's all sorts of permissions, which is the teaser for the end of the video, so we can do larger projects. And here we go. It did work. So it took that entire article, summarized it down into 6 key points, and gives me a bottom line. The future is already here. It just hasn't knocked on your door yet. It's about to. Not at all grim at all, right? It's totally uplifting. All right, so we've used an MCP, we've installed a plugin. We're starting to get some skills here, getting the hang of Claude Code. We've got our plan that's been created over here in the Things app. You can see it actually saved it inside of the Claude. Now this has a period in front of it, so that means that it's like a hidden folder. That doesn't mean we can't access it, but I want to have another copy of this. So rather than having it execute right now, I'm just going to tell Claude, save the plan to the temp folder. All right, so it's working here. It says the plan is complete. Let me copy it to the temp folder as requested. By the way, if I wanted to interrupt Claude at this point, you can see it says escape to interrupt. So if it's doing something and I'm like, oh, I really changed my mind, I don't want it to do this, I can press the escape key and it will stop in its tracks. Another thing that's different about Claude Code is that I can give it cues as it's working. You can't do that in the web chat style interface, right? You have to wait for it to finish speaking before you can speak, but I could actually interject here. I could write a message and submit it, and it will start to, it might not happen instantly, but in a few seconds, maybe 15, 20 seconds, it will read that secondary message, even if it's churning away for many minutes on end. All right, now it's asking for permission to actually create that markdown file. I'll grant that permission, and we should be done momentarily here. Okay, so it has created the file. It's still asking to proceed with creating things. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you how we can have it execute very thoroughly and without constantly nagging us. Now, keep in mind, you will not want to do this for production applications, for client websites, for things that really matter. You'll want to review those. So don't come at me in the comments with saying this is a terrible idea. There's reasons you might want to have it build something for you and just see what comes out of it. So that's what we're going to do. We're taking that type of approach. Obviously, be secure with your data, be conscious of your data, be conscious of the code that you're executing and the applications that you let loose upon the world. What I'm going to do right now, however, is open up a new tab. That's right. You can have tabs inside of Terminal as well. You can have multiple windows. You can have tabs. So what I'm going to do next is actually install another skill called Ralph Wiggum. Now, this started off as kind of a hack, as a script, and don't believe the rumors out there, folks. People were saying that if you use this script, your Anthropic account will be banned. They also say that about using Anthropic accounts with OpenClaw. I don't believe either of those have ever been proven to be true. They tend to be affiliate marketing articles trying to sell you a subscription to some other API system. I think Anthropic is happy to have you using your plans because you'll continue to pay and be a paying customer. It'd be pretty silly if they were just nuking customers' accounts for using the plan. What we are going to do is install this official version of the Ralph Wiggum, that's right, the Simpsons character, the Ralph Wiggum plugin, which is essentially a skill that lets plans run through in a loop to make sure that all of the features are actually created. Before I do that, I'm going to enter into Claude Code in dangerous mode. So remember, throughout the video, we've been entering Claude by just typing Claude. Well, if we enter it in exactly as you see on the screen here, it's no longer going to ask us for permission. It says dangerously skip permissions. It's only dangerous in the fact that it's not going to ask you before it does stuff. If you're not having it do stuff that you don't understand, well, then just use this at your own discretion, just know that you could screw up things if you do this, but it is the key to vibe coding overnight while you sleep. So accept permission if you like. The default option is no, so you have to make sure you hit 2 there. And now you can see bypass permissions are on. We can still turn on permissions, by the way. You can tab through this, accept edits on, plan mode on. We have all of the options, just an additional one in terms of skipping the permissions. Now, I want to install that Ralph Wiggum loop. In this case, I'm going to do /plugins, and I'll be able to see the different plugins that are available to me inside of Claude Code. You can see we've already installed some of them. Context 7 is here. There's a GitHub plugin. By the way, I highly recommend using GitHub, even if you don't know what GitHub is. For all of the projects you build, just tell Claude to do it. It'll ask you to set up an account. You link them together, and it'll create versions for your project. So if you're vibe coding for the first time or working on anything really for the first time, you can back it up to GitHub, and it will version things for you. GitHub and Git, so Git is the protocol, and GitHub is the Microsoft-owned product to actually back things up online. They're free. The Git is open source, and it has a lot of different systems to it in terms of branches and merging and pull requests. And it sounds very technical to the non-developer, but just know you can tell Claude, hey, commit this, push this, back it up, whatever you want to call it, it'll figure it out for you. And over time, you can say, all right, I'm going to set some time aside to really start to learn more about Git and GitHub as a consequence to make sure that I am doing the proper things with my projects. So I would say don't let a lack of knowledge of Git and GitHub stop you from using it in terms of backing up your work and creating versions, because if you're doing iterations of things, you want to have lots of versions available to you, but also set aside some time to really learn it and understand the fundamentals. But I digress. What I want to do here is install the Ralph loop. There's two options. We've got Ralph Wiggum and the Ralph loop. You can see that the Ralph loop is actually now an official plugin from Anthropic. It does the same thing. We definitely want this one. No, zero installs over here. We definitely want the official version whenever possible. It's going to be more secure. Let's go ahead and install that. I'll install for you and off we go. It is now installed. I need to exit and restart Claude Code. So I'm going to instantiate Claude Code again with dangerously skip permissions on. And here we go. Now we can actually execute that entire plan without needing to be there and granting permission over and over again. So to create a Ralph loop, you press / and you start typing Ralph loop, and there's some options here. It's a little bit complex for the first time you're using it to learn exactly what to do. So what do you think the answer is? It's to tell Claude, hey, I want to run this plan with a Ralph loop. So I'm going to go into my Finder here and just find the actual markdown file name to make sure I've got the correct plan name. It's flow-plan. I want you to run the flow-plan in a Ralph Wiggum loop, going through each phase one at a time until the entire project is built out. Go ahead and just add in the file extension here, but otherwise I think we are good. I'm going to go ahead and run this. Notice my dictation actually spelled Ralph wrong, but Claude's smart enough, it knew to kick off a Ralph loop, and it's going to do this for me. It's researching the plan right now. Oh, looks like there's an error. Let's see if it comes back to me with any sort of message. So the Ralph loop plugin hit a setup error. Got it. It fixed itself. So that's awesome. And here we go. It's starting through the plan. It's been working for 50 seconds. I honestly think this will probably take around an hour to complete. But when it's done, I should have a MVP candidate for a brand new to-do list application. Date from the future here, my app is fully deployed, 100% functional. I'm gonna go ahead and log in here so you can see what it looks like. This was a single prompt, one shot the entire app, and it reproduced all of the features inside of things. Essentially, we've got today view, upcoming view, anytime, someday, a logbook of our history, and trash, as well as areas and projects. So I could create an area here for my health, give it a color to remember, and then add items to that in terms of projects and different tasks to get done. This does have a full user system with username as password as you saw me log in. It works well on mobile. Like I said, the entire thing was a one shot. Like that plan we created, everything was fully functional. I did make a couple modifications in terms of key commands. By default, it let the key command for a new task be command end, which is a problem in a browser because that opens a new browser window. So I just had it correct that, and now end the keyboard, just end alone, no modifier keys, opens up a new command. And the only other thing I did was just a secondary plan for mobile responsiveness because it was a little bit wonky on mobile, but I created a plan for that, had it implement it, and the entire app was done. The initial run took 33 minutes, and I'd say the other iterations were maybe another 30 minutes altogether. So 1 hour to have a fully functional to-do list app. If I were to keep working on this, I would add that collaborative feature that I mentioned in my original prompt because it did not do that, but it does have dark mode and light mode, so that's pretty cool. I will link to this app down below in the description so you can sign up for an account and try it out. It is completely free, of course, and no guarantees of security, so don't put anything too precious on there, but it is a good example of what is currently possible using Claude Code. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Claude or anything. There is a sponsor for the video, of course. Check the description for that and support my content by going through the sponsor. It really does mean a lot. But I thought I would mention, if you're curious about which plan you actually want to buy, everything I've done inside of this video has been inside of a single 4-hour session. That's how Claude does things, in 4-hour chunks, and then it'll reset. On my $200 a month plan, I've used 11% while making this video. I guarantee you I would have maxed out the $20 plan about 4 prompts in because I'm using Opus. So just use that food for thought. The plans go anywhere from $20. The next jump up from that is $100. And that's going to give you 1/4 of what I've used in this video. And then up to $200 gives you 4x more tokens. So you can do the math on that and determine kind of what you need, but just move up gradually. Start with $20. If you're liking it, go up to 100. If you're maxing that out, then go up to the 200. There is a way to turn on extra usage as well. By the way, you can see I do have that on here. I've already spent $21 this month, which is only a few days in here. But extra usage, basically, if you go over your limit limits at any point, you can continue working and it'll just bill you kind of like the API. That is user selectable. You don't have to have that on. I did turn it on because they've got a promotion right now where they're giving you some free money. I think it was $50 if you turned it on. So I did that. So there you go. That is your introduction into Claude Code. We even got a pretty advanced there at the end, running Ralph Wiggum loops in dangerous mode. It's totally insane. Hit me up in the comments if you have any additional questions. My thanks to Zoho and the Bigin CRM for sponsoring today's video. Definitely click over to them to help support my content. My name is Dave Swift. If you like this sort of content, get subscribed, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.